Hello, thanks for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, 3 persons have died in unclear circumstances in Bonadikombo, Mile 4, Limbe, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. They are said to have died of food poisoning. 5 others under medical attention, and the commander of the 2nd military region apologizes for military excesses on the ground during a mission in Muyuka in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Several persons have been rendered homeless in the neighborhood known as Bojongo in the Douala 4 subdivision. Their houses were demolished today as a result of a land dispute. Details coming up next. Once more, thank you, dear viewers, for joining us on this edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. We're going to begin right away with the opacity of Limbe in the southwest region of Cameroon, where 3 persons have died in the circumstances yet to be clarified. They died allegedly as a result of food poisoning, and 5 others are under medical attention. We have details with our correspondent in Limbe, Davidson Maimo.
Consternation, shock and disbelief as family members, relatives, neighbors, friends and those who rushed to the scene were all in grief following the death of 3 persons to have died of food poisoning after an insecticide locally called mocap is alleged to have accidentally dropped in a pot of beans.
You know, tie the wrap and find the mocap chewing onto the pot. As you want to open up, you hold and so. Then the mocap chew inside the pot now, so they know. Not be chop the beans. Now my brother them.
According to the landlady, the death of the tenant Pascaline, her 2-year-old son, and the grandson of the landlady, a Form 5 student of Government Bilingual High School Bonadikombo, is a mystery.
The losses is not easy for Beram. All, only God you want.
She said it was about 12 p.m. on Saturday night that foam started coming out from Pascaline's mouth and nostrils before she was hurriedly transported to the hospital where she gave up the ghost.
I thought Pascaline don't sleep for ground. They take an hospital, so me I say Pascaline is foam for a nose, it is foam for a mouth.
1 hour later, Pascaline's 2-year-old son started crying of hunger. Rice was cooked as all the children, including her own grandchildren, ate with the beans that Pascaline cooked. Few minutes later, foam started coming out from Pascaline's 2-year-old son's mouth and nostrils. It was then that the children said the insecticide, locally called mocap, accidentally dropped on the cover of the pot of beans.
My dear people, now say that people don't straighten skin, so now say the foam for nose, foam for a mouth. Confused. That small pikin so they call pelin, so he died that being kind of for skin. Then they say that the talk say beans. I say beans do waiting. Say the chop beans. Now we run take oil for us 1 supermom. Can't give the so una drink. They one way die so. If kid I be chopping the beans, I not be chopping. I say una drink that oil. Una drink oil before they drink oil now.
The sad incident has pushed some person calling on the ban of some insecticides and pesticides sold in Cameroon.
That's all we can say. That if the government can ban the mocap, it will be better. It's poisonous for everybody. This thing has been killing a lot of people.
However, the forces of law and order have opened investigation to ascertain the actual cause of the tragic incident.
The commander of the 2nd military region, General Eba Benoit, apologizes to the people of Muyuka over the poor behavior of some soldiers during a military operation in that part of the southwest region. The people also told the general that some of his men sent to the ground to protect them are rather brutalizing them. Derry Jato reports.
Many are sick. Most of them are orphans and widows. The atrocities that have been committed here are plenty.
But Nana, any day now only cry. They don't do the one don't die, and only cry. We feel
removed from their houses and gathered along this Buyakumba highway. Some even told us they regret to have been born or to have invested in this village called Yoke in Moyoka subdivision, Fako division of the southwest region of Cameroon. And General Eba Benoit, the commander of the 2nd military region, descended to Yoke Moyoka to meet them and started by tabling an apology. The way these people were treated was not normal.
Been woken up and it's not normal. We came to extend our apologies for that, hoping that you understand why we do that. Because many of these bad boys who have been misled are hiding amongst you, and we know that you cannot go and report because you fear for your life.
I'm very surprised to see that a noble person or a Cameroonian like you, the general, has that very soft mind to apologize for people like us. I pray that more Cameroonians than you should exist in this country. It's not easy.
And then asked the people to paint him a picture of the working relationship between them and the element he has sent to protect them.
Some of the other military, when they come, they don't treat us as if we are the citizens of Cameroon. Instead, they might treat us in a way that we even feel bad when we see even young children. Young children now, when they see the military coming, they are running. They are running. So we find it bad. I don't know.
Responding, General Eba Benoit noted, adding that there is a possibility that the military can also have Amber boys as soldiers with hidden intention to frustrate the call, calling on the population of Yoke Moyoka to be calm and trust the military, and that their worries will be tabled to the highest authority and the necessary measures will be taken.
Even amongst us, the military, it's not impossible that you may encounter the Amber boys. They may be part of us. Your issues have been understood and they will be reported. Please, once more, trust us. Let's know that we are together. Okay.
Some people are kept face down in a truck standing nearby, and the press questioned General Tunke Elias, commander of the 2nd Gendarmerie region, on that.
People you've seen behind as among suspects. They are just suspects. But what I can assure you of is that we are going to investigate right now and to see whether they are part of the enemy or not.
Some will be carried away.
The senior divisional officer of the Nigerian division, Fowang Lawrence, has urged the traditional leader of the Kondo Titi people to reunite the people, to bring them together so that they can better face challenges affecting life in their community. Challenges including, of course, insecurity emanating from the Anglophone crisis. He was speaking in a meeting while Ewango Manfred took over the baton of command in the Kondo Titi from Eso Ito, who was killed last 2018 by alleged separatist fighters. Once more, Derek Jato reports.
The war in the Anglophone region took the life of their paramount ruler, Chief Dr. Eso Ito Stephen. Traditional ruler of the Kondo Titi chiefdom was murdered last August 12, 2018 by the separatist fighters, and since then the stole of the Kondo Titi people has been vacant. And this August 2020, the Kondo Titi kingmakers before the senior divisional officer from Nigerian division presented Nawango Manfred as their chosen leader.
I want to say, Your Royal Majesty,
which is in line with the tradition of the people. And as the auxiliary of the administration, Fowang Lawrence, the senior divisional officer from Nigerian division, reminded the designated traditional ruler of the Kondo Titi people to assemble all.
But on the whole, I've advised the chief that we should know that he is chief of an entire of the whole village. Those who were for him and those who were against him, we should rule with a human touch And I've also asked him to put in place a traditional council. I've also asked him to protect the custom and the culture of the Equinoxe people.
With a rich legal background, the 53-year-old Fourth Great Majesty was equally challenged to put in place a traditional council that will meet the aspirations of his people and above all, work for peace, which is hard to come by these days, especially in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. The chief designate, Chief Nawango Manfred, is expected to fix squarely and continue from where his predecessor ended, for the betterment of the Kondo Titi subdivision in particular, and Jan division in general.
Coming up, Manjik and Gabriel takes us now to the northwest regional chief town Bamenda, where some suspected bandits attacked a microfinance institution. The armed suspected bandits took all those who were present in the institution at the time of their arrival hostage before carrying out some belongings of that microfinance institution, as Smart reports.
It was with a private car that the 5 armed bandits landed at Mitakul in Sonak Street, Bamenda, Friday, 21st of August 2020. While inside the cooperative building, everyone was put at gunpoint. The armed bandits then asked the accountants to pack all the money they had and put in their bags. They spoke both in French and broken pidgin English language. Unconfirmed sources said the thieves made away with huge sums of money, though the amount was not disclosed, but nobody was injured or killed. After the incident, the management of Mitakul, in a media release recently, said security is already on the alert as investigations have been launched to track down the armed bandits. In the media release, the management of Mitakul say they are neutral in the ongoing crisis that is rocking the northwest and southwest regions.
And the heavy downpour that has been hitting Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, and other parts of the country is provoking damaging consequences on the country's road networks. Here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, a section of the road around the Douala International Airport collapsed today under the weight of the force of runoff, and it became practically impossible for vehicles and of course motorbikes to use that section of the road, and the circulation has simply been interrupted in that part of the city of Douala. Earlier last week, a similar incident occurred in Sanchu on the highway, on the Douala Bafoussam highway. An equally similar incident occurred on National Highway number 3, all linked to the heavy downpours hitting some parts of the country. And the Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, is here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, visiting some parts of the town that were hit by heavy floods following the heavy downpour. He met with some administrative and security of law enforcement officials in the town, including the governor, the senior divisional officer of the Uri division, and of course the 5 divisional officers of the 5 divisions, subdivisions concerned, and they discussed the challenges that the town is facing with the heavy downpour and the floods causing enormous material damage in different neighborhoods. And the minister also brought with him some aid to victims inches of flood in the Douala 5 subdivision and other parts of the town. The Minister of Territorial Administration bringing some aid from the Yaoundé administration within the context of civil protection, which is under the responsibility of his ministry. That was, of course, the Minister of Territorial Administration, who is in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Now we're going to talk about the road users applying the National Road number 5, who are now forced to spend several hours on the same spot. This is as a result of the degradable state of that highway. Immaculate Fogo reports. Immaculate Fogo with that report on the state of National Highway number 5. It should be noted that the problem of bad roads is affecting all parts, practically all parts of the Republic of Cameroon, from the big cities to the hinterlands. Several sections of the National Highway and even secondary roads are in advanced state of dilapidation, and the bad nature of the road is rendering circulation quite difficult and even more critical in the hinterlands, where the farm to market roads are simply in a very deplorable state. Immaculate Fogo reports on National Highway number 5.
Circulation perturbed for over 2 hours on the National Road number 5, precisely in a locality known as Kunine, Lunako subdivision, Mungu division, Littoral region of Cameroon. This cratered stretch of road is the cause of the breakdown of this 70-seater bus, which has practically affected circulation, causing vehicles to be queued up. Witnesses say the driver of the heavy-duty truck got stuck while trying to avoid potholes. For over 2 hours, nothing has changed. We are on our way to Bagante for a burial. Look at the time, it's already late. We are still on the same spot. A 70-seater bus had a breakdown while trying to dodge some of the potholes. The state of this road is really deplorable. In order to ease circulation, some passengers alongside local inhabitants of Ebonne tried filling up the potholes with stones. Road users are now questioning where the money paid at the toll gate is kept. According to them, the amount was supposed to be used for the rehabilitation of the National Road number 5. What are they really doing with the money we are giving to them at the toll gate? Now you can see the consequences. A vehicle is stuck and it is affecting circulation. While waiting for the government to react, road users will have to continue facing the ordeals while circulating on the National Road number 5.
Several inhabitants of Bojongo, a neighborhood in the Douala 4 subdivision, have been rendered homeless by forceful eviction. Their homes were destroyed as a result of a land dispute that is concerning over 17 hectares of land which they have been occupying for several years today, and an individual is now claiming ownership of the land, and they are being forcefully evicted from their homes. The place, the area was invaded today by forces of law and other police and gendarme officers who stopped them from resisting the destruction or the demolition exercise, and their houses were simply destroyed. Many of them are now stranded, and many of them are also finding it quite difficult to understand why the government of the country would allow such things to happen. Details with we talked to some of the inhabitants, and now listen to them.
I don't understand how lawless government officials can be in this country, because if you want to break the people, you have to notify them before coming to break. But in this place as we are, we're never notified. This man just came up, that is my land, and then he rallied all the soldiers which you can find here, and they are doing the breaking. It is not normal. It is heartless and it is lawless. Because if you consider the number of people who are in this place who have been there for years, there are more than 500 houses that they are breaking. Think about the families that will be affected because of this lawless act. Meaning they are just trying to radicalize people, and most of them even are the Anglophones, because most of the people who are in this place are these Anglophones who ran away from war in the war-torn northwest and southwest regions, and they have come and bought their pieces of land here and they are taking refuge. Imagine what will become of these people. I think that government officers need to take things into their hands. You cannot privilege one person over 1,000 people. It's unheard of. You cannot one man cannot be claiming 17 hectares and the government is by that person simply because the person has corrupted them from the high level to those down there. It is unfair and it's terrible. It's something that we should condemn. I think that the way they are pushing things in this country, they are pushing the citizens, peace-loving citizens, to become, they want to transform them to animals.
We are in a situation whereby I believe the head of state should come into this matter, because I don't see it possible. Thousands of people being displaced for one man, houses newly constructed. When they were constructing these houses, where was this man? And now you see children with the Anglophone crisis. Some who don't want problems have come to hide themselves and have peace. We have COVID-19 that is terrorizing all nations around the world, and then it is now during the rainy season without any prayer bill that they have come to demolish people's building here. I just believe that the head of state should intervene into this and put an end to this, so that the citizens can have a place to call their own, a place to hide themselves.
Inhabitants of Bojongo, a neighborhood in the Douala 4 subdivision, speaking they now out of Cameroon, the military junta in Mali who overthrew President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta has agreed with the West African leaders and says that the president will be released so that he can either return to his home or can be taken abroad for medical attention in a country of his choice. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, opposition leader Martin Fayulu is back, and he was welcomed by thousands of supporters. He returns after spending several months abroad. Libyans have taken to the streets in the country's capital, Tripoli, over poor governance. Innocent.
The Malian military junta that seized power last week has agreed to release our state president Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. The announcement was made late Sunday during a meeting between the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, CNSP, and the Economic Community of West African States, led by former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan. The CNSP, which forced Keïta to resign and dissolve the government and the National Assembly, agreed that the ousted president will return to his home or go abroad for medical treatment in a country of his choice. The junta has also proposed a 3-year military-led transitional period before elections are held for civilian rule. Elsewhere in the Democratic Republic of Congo, thousands of people gathered in Kinshasa to welcome back home opposition leaders Martin Fayulu and Adolphe Musito over the weekend after several months of absence. They have both been abroad due to the suspension of international flights following the coronavirus pandemic. They arrived Kinshasa via the Njuli airport. Both politicians took a few minutes in the VIP lounge at the airport. From there, Fayulu and Musito held a meeting at St. Teresa Square in Njuli for the first time in 2020. In Libya, armed men fired in the air to disperse several hundred protesters demonstrating over living conditions and against the government in the Libyan capital, Tripoli, on Sunday. Protesters marched to the headquarters of the Government of National Accord to voice anger over what they call a slow death due to collapsing public services, corruption and economic pressures before heading to central Tripoli's Mataya Square, where they were scattered by gunfire. The area was later closed off amidst heavy security. The Interior Ministry blamed infiltrators for violence against peaceful protesters that left one person injured and said it was investigating. The protest came 2 days after the Government of National Accord, Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj, announced a ceasefire in Libya's long-running conflict and called for the lifting of an oil blockade by rival authorities based in the east of the country.
Talking Point is up next. Today we are receiving a political analyst and developer, Dr. Nick Nguyen. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Right. When you looked at the city of Douala with the rains, runoff everywhere, covering some neighborhoods, places like Makepe Misoke, houses completely overwhelmed by water. What came to your mind?
Well, what came to my mind is something that has always been there. You know, if you've flown into Douala, to the Douala, you know, coming by plane and you're looking around the city, especially around the airport, all you see is chaos. You know, there's no order, and then when you're driving around, there's so much chaos, there's so much disorder, and we're used to throwing tires and old vehicles and stuff in the waterways and so on. So that's what we get. You know, you cannot control water. You know, you cannot force water to go where it's not supposed to go. Water has got its tracks, and you're not supposed to build in those tracks or obstruct them in one way or the other. You have to clear those tracks and make them very open so that water rushes through those tracks whenever there is rain. So what happened the other day was that the rate of delivery of water in Douala was higher than the rate at which that water was being evacuated, and therefore it dammed up. That's what happened, and we just have to learn some lessons from there. And I'm not surprised if we don't do something about it. It will keep on happening and keep on happening, and we get surprised. No, that's a planned accident.
And the authorities are blaming the population for the disorder that you're highlighting, the incivility, poor civic behavior of city dwellers. But who is responsible here?
No, it's very easy. Of course, we blame the city dwellers. We blame those who are building. We blame everybody, including administration and everybody. It just looks like all of us in Cameroon, from the least to the greatest, there's something wrong about us. We don't seem to really know what it means to respect nature and respect others.
And the Minister of Territorial Administration, Tanganji Paul, is in Douala meeting with, he met with some administrative authorities to discuss the issue, and he went further to the Douala 5 subdivision, bringing with him aid to victims of the flood. And he called on the people to collaborate with the administrative authorities. What do you think about this?
Well, that's well done, but again, it's not a proactive management. That's a reactive management, and we have a firefighting attitude towards issues, and firefighting doesn't really solve a problem. We should be proactive and do things properly. If you've seen the capital of Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan, it's a great place. Look at Abuja. It's a great place. Even when you go to Limbe and Boya, and you see that there's some town planning or something like that. It's not just this chaos here. It's very, very chaotic here, and we ought to learn how to do things properly.
And where's the problem? Town planning?
You see, we have the problem is let's say it's town planning, but the problem again is management. It's management. You know, we have Minister of Towns, Minister of this, Minister of that, 600, I mean, about 60 of them for the last 60 years, and they cannot get it right. For instance, let's take basic things.
What are they not getting right here? As far as towns like Douala and others.
When people are getting things right, you see the results. Okay, let's go to the market. Let's go to Musa the market. The market does not exist. It's a makeshift stuff, and there's everything everywhere on the floor. You know, there's stool, there's animal stool, human stool, urine, everything in the supposed market, and the food, that's where it's sold. There's no structured market. There's no public toilets. Nothing. Waste disposal is chaotic. Everything is so chaotic. Look at the new road that was just built in Bonaberi. You know, it's full of thrash, dirt, grass, and so on. So there is something really wrong with us. See the new road that was constructed that's going from Ecole Publique to Bonamusadi, the new road. Go and see the grass that is growing there. I mean, there are elephants, and there's elephants and pythons in there. I mean, we are not human beings. Simple.
So there's a problem of
there's a problem of no. There's just a problem of we don't value anything. We don't know how to do things. It's just a piece of shit. We don't know how to do things. I don't know what. We should just do things properly. And all these people, ministers all over, they travel and go everywhere, and they see the beautiful things. I don't know why they find it so difficult to just make things work for Cameroonians. It's so easy. What's your problem? If you don't know what to do, see, you remember the governor of Calabar State down here? Calabar just down here. You need to see the video that's circulating about him. He has just been governor just for a few years, and he has about 35 or 36 huge industries to his name. So we just have to learn how to do things properly. Everybody just politics, achieving nothing. It's
now,
sad.
some people think that the town should be moved to another side, or a new town should be created that would decongest the economic character.
Yes, I was also of that opinion. It's very, very important that we do something in Douala. It's the same opinion I have about Yaoundé. You know, if you check our cities, be it Yaoundé or Douala, it started as a native settlement. And without town planning, the native settlement was just growing and growing chaotically, and just going. It becomes this giant thing that is not laid out. You know, we need to build a road that is passing through Dibombari and crosses and gets across, you know, in Yassa, that area there, and build a new Douala city there. The land out there is relatively dry and should be properly laid out. Then we come in here, move all these people who are sitting on the waterways, who are decongesting, like all these people that were moved from Bonaberi, give them land there so that, you know, and help them to build and settle there. We need to do something. Go in the quartiers, decongest, you know, open up the roads and so on. That is what has to be done. Douala cannot keep growing on Douala. It's saturated, and there's no town planning. So we need to come in with new roads, and if people are taken by the roads, then we give them land and help them to build, and so that we can breathe. The way it's going now, it's not nice. There's no respect really, and we look very primitive.
And the governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Jeduneva Hadiboa, the other day when he was speaking to the press, he said those people who are living in areas, risk zones, where there was the flooding was really high, should quit those places, should evacuate those places, and go to their uncles, their aunties, their brothers, their sisters in other parts of the town that are relatively safe from the floods.
That's not the solution. That's just politics. That's not the solution. When there is a problem, get up, solve the problem. Government has land, okay? All the land belongs to government. What government should do now, go into those places, get some of the land, 1,000 hectares or whatever, you know, dig roads through it, lay it, you know, go through and see who are the ones that have problems, give them the land. They should go wherever they are, remove the sheets or whatever, the roofing sheets or whatever they can lay their hands on, probably make some makeshift things and so on. But after that, government should give them some basic plans for constructing some nice houses so that we have some sense of town planning. You cannot just throw people off into the streets and say, go to your uncles. They don't have uncles here. They have come from all over the whole place, and they're all struggling. Government should do something and do the right thing and settle them.
And you were talking about forceful eviction earlier. It's another problem.
Yes, all these problems, government can solve them if they have the right.
Tears and sorrow to many inhabitants of the town.
Government should solve those problems.
In this report, we saw some images of Bojongo in Bonaberi, and many of the people who are affected are IDPs, internally displaced persons.
I say again, watch my lips. Government should solve solve those problems. You government, you have all the land, please go take some of this land, get the caterpillars, you know, get your surveyors, you know, lay out this thing, dig some roads and so on, and settle these people there, and let's stop all this noise.
All right, to the northwest and southwest regions of the country, the commander of the 2nd Military Region went apologizing to the people of Muyuka over the excesses of some soldiers, and the people told him that some of the soldiers were sent to protect them and instead brutalizing them. What's your take on that apology? Is it?
You see, the way we are trained in Cameroon, we think that to say I'm sorry is a sign of weakness. I will tell you that, what's his name again? General
Iba Benoit.
Yes, I respect you, sir, Mr. General. God bless you. You know, he's a man of honor. He has character. He came from a good home, and he is a good father. Okay, and he's a good Christian. He has those values in him. It's not because he's a general that the thing has gone into his head like bimbo. He is a great guy, and to stand out there and say to the people in the presence of those soldiers, we are sorry for this. He is by that demonstrating and disciplining his soldiers and saying this is not acceptable. And if most of the soldiers and leaders were behaving like that, the Anglophone problem would not have been as serious as it is, because people just show up and kick people around, kill whoever they want to kill, and they have no questions to answer. And it is that attitude. It is that attitude that Anglophones have been looking for someone to say, look, we are sorry. How can we do it better? How can we fix it so that we can live together in you know, as brothers and sisters? That is the attitude. Respecting other people, speaking the truth. First, he accepted the truth that some of his soldiers were not behaving well, and he even went to say that it's possible that some are even behaving like the Amba or trying to make a bad situation worse. So it is that element of truth, that element of love, empathy, and respect that would bring solutions to the problems in Cameroon, the Anglophone problem, the problems in the north, whatever. And he is a great guy, and that is what all our ministers and SDOs and governors and whoever, everybody in leadership, even fathers in homes, learn from this general. He's a great guy.
You're one of those who have been proposing confederalism as the durable or the sustainable solution, the long-term solution to the Anglophone crisis. But there are some politicians and political analysts, including people like Professor Elvis Ngolengole, who think that confederalism cannot work in Cameroon.
Well, we are in a democracy, and that is his. We are in a democracy, and that is his. S'il vous plaît, monsieur, je suis à la télé.
Go ahead, please.
We are in a democracy, and you know, he's just expressing his old self. What he ought to realize that we are in a new era. Cameroon has two eras. You know, from independence up till that time where Mr. Mo Ibrahim and His Excellency President Paul Biya were talking in France, where President Paul Biya said that, you know, the Francophones or the government has been messing up Anglophones and trying to assimilate them, and it wasn't working. From that time on, when the president said that, going forward, it's a new era completely, and you have to understand that Mr. Ngolengole and his colleagues and friends are from the old era, and they're trying to put new wine into old wine skins. That's why he says it doesn't work, and he doesn't even understand what it is, because he has never thought of it, because he has a mindset, and you know, he was brought on to drive that mindset and continue to help assimilate his brothers.
Maybe
so he got it all wrong.
Maybe you should help him and other persons who are saying that it cannot work to understand how
if he actually thinks that it cannot work, I'm waiting for him on Equinoxe television. We'll debate it out, and I'll prove to him that it can work. It's just, in fact, please, I think Anglophones have had enough, and if you've had enough to eat or do whatever, just stay with it and don't mess up people again. People are dying, people are suffering, and we are fed up with all this kind of thing where our elites go and talk any crap and so on. Enough is enough. Confederation is the solution, and it's going to work. And if he knows that it cannot work, he should first start by explaining to us what is special status and what is the content of that thing. If he cannot tell us the content of that thing, then he should just keep quiet.
Somebody listening to you now would want to know how confederalism can solve this problem.
Confederalism, what is it? Listen, we're in a republic. We're in a republic as compared to a monarchy. All right. And in a republic, you have the president, you have parliament, you have the judiciary, you have the fourth estate, you know, like what we have now, that's the fourth estate. Good. And power is shared out. And when you have, you know, power is this thing that we use to govern, to administer, to do whatever, and to make things work, to run the society. And that power can be centralized or decentralized, shifted to the periphery. As of now, Cameroon is a centralized unitary state. All the power is concentrated. You cannot fill a pothole on your road. You have to go to Yaoundé to ask for permission and money to be able to do it. And that's why things have not been working, because of over-centralization. And we are looking for a formula that will make the country work. It's very, very important. And when in the early days we had the federation that was taken away from us in 1972, and we are saying that we have to go back to that federation, which was something that allowed us to work and solve our problems without having to go to Yaoundé. That's what we're talking about. But the question is, why confederation today? You know, in 1960, the word confederation, the word confederation and federation were used interchangeably to mean the same thing. But interestingly, over the years, these two words have matured to have specific meanings. And I keep giving the same examples so that they stay with the people. Now, when you take a big country like Kenya, for instance, they have the Luos, the Kukuyus, and so many, and there are so many of them. There's a big country, and if they were to be centralized, it would become very difficult to manage. Now, if the government wants to make management easy, what they would do, they would go in there and break it into big chunks, and those big chunks are federal states. But when you take a country like Cameroon, you had West Cameroon and East Cameroon. These are two independent states, two entities, a people, a culture, a government, money, you know, whatever. And then you bring these two together to form something that is bigger. So the word confederation these days is used to refer to countries, to a country like Cameroon, where you had two or more entities coming together to form something bigger. While federation refers specifically to a big country that is broken up to form smaller manageable parts. And that's what is going to work. And if anybody tells me that it's not going to work in Cameroon, it's just because they don't want to work, because they want it to be the way it is now, so that they can keep marginalizing people, and they're greedy, and they want it for themselves, and these elites to leave us alone.
Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, political analyst and developer, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.